is the fact that there are plenty of big jobs waiting for men and women who aren't afraid of the troubles connected with them. I get to instead of I got to. You will learn to love your job, and then you'll get better at the job, and then you'll either get the better job or another opportunity. Attitude's so important. I love what John Maxwell, a good friend of mine, says. Never underestimate the power of your attitude. It is the advanced man of our true selves. Its roots are inward, but its fruit is outward. It is our best friend or our worst enemy. It is more honest and more consistent than our words. It has an outward look based on past experiences. It is a thing which draws people to us or repels them. It is never content until it is expressed. It is the librarian of our past, it's the speaker of our present, and it's the prophet of our future. Now what I'm suggesting is a change in thinking, am I not? See, it's an old saying, if you keep on doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep on getting what you've been getting. Now if you like what you've been getting, that's okay. If you don't like what you've been getting, we better recognize maybe the reason for it is we got to do things instead of we get to do things. Now, most people that I'm talking to would be in denial. They would deny that that's the way they think. And again, they think, denial is just a river in Egypt. They deny, those basic things there. And so we need to look at it in that relationship or in that light. Now, if we're going to have relationship motivation, and we're going to talk a whole lot about that at this point, but here's my observation and the observations of many, many other people. If you're getting along well with the people you love, almost regardless of how the rest of your life is going, overall you're a pretty happy camper. If you're not getting along with the people you love, regardless of how many bucks you got in the bank and regardless of your corporate position, overall you just simply are not a very happy camper. Those relationships are enormously important. My friends who are in counseling in the church and in psychology and psychiatry tell me that nearly 100% of all of the counseling they do is a direct result of relationship problems. Husband, wife, parent, child, employer, employee, teacher, student, brother, sister, and what kind of thing. Well, why is that so? Why do we have so much relationship difficulty? I think the major problem started maybe 40 years ago when as a group, as a nation, as a people, we started adopting the hooray for me, to heck with you, I'm going to do it my way. If I have to win through intimidation, I'm going to look out for number one. I've just described the most miserable human being imaginable. I challenge you, show me one happy person who is self-centered. Invariably, when your thoughts are on yourself, you're not a happy, productive individual. A number of years ago, I was bowling in Omaha, Nebraska, and injured my right knee. One of my friends, who is not overly bright, to be kind to him, mentioned something about age. Now, that's where his lack of brightness shone the brightest, because, you see, there was nothing at all wrong with my left knee. So age obviously had nothing whatever to do with it. Well, anyhow, I injured my right knee. That evening I was to speak. And as I came hobbling out, and they had a microphone with a cord on it, I was hobbling out, and I could just feel the audience say, well, look at old Zig. Bless his heart, he's all crippled up. But I bet he's going to do the best he can. I know he's going to, I could just feel it in the audience. They hung the microphone around my neck, and to this day I do not clearly understand what the therapeutic effect of having a microphone around your neck does to your knee. But there was an instant healing. I mean, that sucker quit hurting right then and there. And for the next 60 minutes, I was up and down, roundabout, stooping, squatting, shouting. I was doing it all. In the 60 minutes, they took the mic off my neck, and I stepped off the platform and collapsed. Literally. Now, what happened? For 60 minutes, I wasn't thinking about Zig. I was thinking about the audience. And I don't remember doing this consciously, but apparently when I stepped off the platform, I was thinking, okay, Zig, man, now think about yourself, and boom, down I went. I can guarantee that people who are completely self-centered are miserable human beings. Now, the basic problem is to say we do live in that self-centered, pretty selfish world. And yet, what we do with our life is so dependent on other people. In my office, I have what I call my wall of gratitude. There are 19 people who've had a substantial influence on my life. I wonder where I would be had it not been for those 19 people. You show me anybody in life who's done anything at all, and I will show you somebody who's had a lot of help getting there. As this old boy down home would say, friend, when you see a turtle on a fence post, you can rest assured that sucker didn't get there by himself. I mean, he had some help going there. Now, motivation is important, but there is negative motivation as well as positive. As you recall, in the early recording, I talked about the fact that when you hear a motivational presentation on success, that your brain is literally flooded with dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and the neurotransmitters and so forth, and you're physiologically energized. Unfortunately, for some people, gambling produces the same results. Pornography produces the same results. Rock music a lot of times produces the same results. But basically what you're doing, you're energized and activated to go do the wrong thing. Dr. Forrest Tunnett, a good friend of mine, I consider the number one brain chemist perhaps in America, certainly the number one drug authority in America. He says if you can put all of those neurotransmitters in there with positive directions on what to do with your life, then you're going to get some marvelous results. You see, when you listen to things over and over that advise you to abuse a woman or kill a cop or try the suicide solution, over a period of time, it definitely is going to have some negative results. Motivation can be negative, but it can also be tremendously and powerfully positive. And that's the content and the concept in this program, is to make the motivation powerful, including the directions on how to get the things out of life you really want. But back to relationship motivation, because it's so important. I want to kind of set up a little scenario which identifies the problem and offers a solution at the same time. It's Friday afternoon in this little scenario. The husband has been out of town all week. It's about 5 o'clock. He gets to the front porch. He's laden with luggage, and he has his briefcase bulging with work which he's got to do. He doesn't want to set the briefcase and luggage down to ring the doorbell, so he kicks the door. Now, he doesn't gently kick it. He bang, 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 bang. Well, his wife comes to the front door, somewhat startled, sees him standing there, and he doesn't move. He just said, I've been to a meeting. That's the reason I'm late. I'm glad I went to that meeting because I learned some things that just bother the hang out of me. I learned that there's some rights around this house that I have not been getting. I have made a list of them. And the first thing you and I are going to do, woman, we're going to sit down. We're going to make some changes around here. You can absolutely count on it. Well, I can just imagine in this scenario, the wife said, well, Buster, I didn't go to a meeting. I didn't have to go. And I don't have a list written out. I've got them burned indelibly into my mind. You can count on that. You bet I want you to come on in, because there are going to be some changes around here. You can count on it. And I don't think you're going to like all of them. Don't you know they had a wonderful, loving, fun-filled weekend? Don't you know that on Monday morning they each awakened raring and ready to go and get out there and turn the world upside down in a very positive way? Same scenario. Same husband. Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock. This time, instead of kicking the door down, he gently taps it. His wife comes to the door, and he said, sweetheart, the reason I'm late is I've been to a meeting, and I'm so glad I did, because I learned some things that troubled me a great deal. I learned that undoubtedly I've not been meeting all of the needs which you have. And what I'd like for us to do, before we do anything else this weekend, I would like for us to sit down And I would like for you to share with me how I can become the husband you deserve to have and that you thought you were getting when we got married. I can well imagine her saying, well, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that. I've kind of been thinking about the same thing, that maybe I've not been meeting all of your needs. Let's sit down and talk about it. Doesn't need any elaboration, does it? See, the reality is you really can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. When you put that other person first, amazing things happen. Now, I don't want to, in any sense of the way, as you listen to these recordings, I don't want to hang a guilt trip on anybody. That's somebody else's department. I'm not talking about the past. I'm talking about the present and using it as preparation for the future. Most of us, when we did what we did in the past that was wrong, we did it at that time based on our circumstances at that time, and more importantly, the information we had at that time. As you've heard me say several times in this series, we got to make friends with our past so we can focus on the present in order to make the future what it is capable of being. I love this particular story about Thomas Carlyle, who lived from 1795 until 1881. He was a Scotch essayist and historian. On October 17, 1826, he married his secretary, Jane Welch. She was a very intelligent person.